Good morning, Nick Collier here, and we are pretty well complete on this project here. I got a couple of bolts to buy, smaller bolts, and then I need to take this thing completely back apart again and sand all the surfaces, but other than that, we're set and ready to go. Now what has to happen is on top of this collar here and sticking inside is a whole nother mechanism. What I need to do is I need to make a slug that goes down inside of this hole and a platform that comes out to probably about here with two round pieces that have threads that will thread into one of these. Let me show you the threads on the inside part, and they're good solid threads. I don't know if you can see it or not, but we got some pretty stout threads right in here, and these are going to flip upside down. And so each one of these rams is going to sit kind of on the opposite side of where the cable is. Now, the one piece sits here as a support, and then the ram will expand and contract. And so then I need a second piece that goes up here that attaches to these threads here that will give that the ram the ability to expand and contract, which would grab the cable, pull it up, and then release the cable, come back down, grab the cable again, pull it up, release the cable, and so on and so forth. So we're kind of stalled out at this point because my customers, you know, I gave him the bill for just this part here, and he was in a little bit of a shell shock, so we're giving him a couple of days to kind of recoup and try to figure out how to continue with this project. You know, we all go into shell shock, right? So so everything is kind of on hold for the moment, and I'm thinking that we're going to get started on the second part of the project here pretty quick. But for now, hey, we got a half a dozen other things to do in the shop, and we're off and doing that. Hey, subscribe. We have fun here, even though it's cold. Okay, you don't have to be cold. You get to sit in your armchair in a nice warm living room or office. Well, good morning, Nick Collier here, and we decided to take a whole different tact with this piece here because we're pulling 30 tons on this thing, and the last thing I want to do is have a weld either weaken or give way and have to go pick the thing back up and spend another period of time doing it. So I decided it was cheaper in the long run for me just to machine one huge block of steel. So I bought this 6x6 piece of steel. We're gonna begin to machine the holes out of the center for the rams to go in, and then machine out all of the components that are gonna allow us to put the cable locks in, and you know, pretty much we're gonna take probably half of the steel off of this block, and then we'll be ready to hook it up and see how it works. So hey, stick with me. We're going to be drilling some holes today, and then once that's done, we'll probably take it over to the lathe and bore it out. And you know, and then of course, how do I pick this thing up? Yeah. So you know, I've come up with a little idea of how to pick heavier pieces of steel up, and I think it worked pretty well. I got it up here without breaking my back. So that's one thing. So we're all set up to drill our first set of holes, or our first hole here, and then we'll come over and drill our second hole here. Then we take it, probably going to take it up as big as I can get it, and then bore it out, put it on the lathe and bore it out, or either maybe just, you know, bore it out right here. We're working with mild steel, so it's not that big a deal. Okay, so stick with me. We're gonna have some fun. Okay, we're gonna start out by just simply drilling a pilot hole. We've already got our pilot started, so we're just gonna drill this little 1/8 inch hole just to get us located. so we can come in with a longer drill bit and get all the way through this piece of material. Okay, that's the beginning of our hole. Now we'll go up to the DRO and zero ourselves out, and we're going to go from ABS, which is our absolute measurement, to zeroing out on a temporary measurement. So now we come over to the far side and do the same thing. And oops, we're going to have to move you. Okay, so since we need to go all the way through this piece of steel, I'm going to come in with a longer bit and work my way down with that. It looks like this bit has been brazed together, so I may end up looking at that and seeing if it's straight enough. But for now, we're going to go down to accommodate the length of the bit. So we need to come down about 4 inches or so. And do we have 4 inches? It looks like we might. And there's our maximum. Looks like we're going to be able to fit. Now the question is the bit straight? And we're going to have to crank it up to see that. Well, it looks pretty good to me. So let's just start down and see what happens. All right, let's expand our horizons here. Looks like we got about a 1/2 inch bit. It's going to go down into this hole. It should go without too much problem. Well, good morning, Nick Collier here again. It's crisp, it's cold, and we're ready to go. Now, I've been thinking about this all night, and I had these toe clamps in place, and I couldn't get to the top of this, and I need to surface this top edge in order to get a square surface to work from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my fly cutter and surface it with the fly cutter. Now, the problem is that the toe clamps are in the way. So I'm going to weld some little tabs on the bottom of this, and I'm going to do it on the Bridgeport. And if you notice, I don't know if you can see it from there, but I got all kinds of wood panels and everything to protect the Bridgeport from any sparks flying and that sort of thing. So right now we're going to go ahead and weld this and then be able to bolt it to the table without having any toe clamps. All right. And since it doesn't really matter, I'm just going to kind of hold it down and spark this baby. We're just going to put a bead across the top, and what that's going to give us is the ability to hold it down, and then later on we can pop it back off by hitting it with the hammer on the bottom. So I'm going to slide a crowbar underneath this and lift this baby up. Oop, let's get the rest of this wood out of the way first. We're going to get it up high enough to where, let's get underneath it a little bit better. I need to go under and wipe that off so that my parallel can fit under there without getting all gunged up by debris. Alright, that ought to do it. Let's clean off the parallel real quick like. Lift it back up. Slide the parallel under. And I think we've got ourselves a setup. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we've got ourselves a positive grip while still allowing that top surface to be free. There's one. We'll put one on the other side and we'll be back. Okay, so we've got our top surface leveled, square. Notice that there's a couple of edges that it didn't quite get all the way over, but we're going to cut those off anyhow and radius this coming around this circle. So later on we won't have to worry about that. And there's a little bit over here too. Same thing, we're going to cut those corners off. So I put my right angle adapter head in, and now what I have to do is square up that head, and it's not looking real square at this point, so it's not too difficult. We just have to loosen the bolts without it falling out and spin it. Let's see if I can do that while you're still watching. And the reason why I want to do that is I've got a square surface to the table here, but I don't have a 90-degree surface here. It's still rough. And so what I'm going to do is just pull a couple of lines across the top here and then go down to the bottom, pull a couple of lines across the bottom, and I'll be able to, when I flip this, I'll be able to set it on top of a square surface, you know, just by using some parallels or something on those square lines. So let's get this thing set up. This thing always wants to fall out on me. And I went just a little bit too far. Still a little far. Just a tad. See how it's rocking? Just a little bit. There it is. You're not getting any rocking from it. It's looking good. So snug this down. And so now what we're going to do is take a pass or two, maybe too wide, of this cutting head. Let's bring this up a little bit. That'll probably get us where we want to go. And it's spinning the right direction, but you know, it is spinning a bit slow. Let's see what that does. And oops, we're at the end of our cut. Let's see what the other end looks like. Oh, but actually that's okay, because remember, we're going to cut corners off. And I think those corners are going to get cut off fairly soon. Yeah, we're going to make it. So let's take it right in. Well, since this cutter head's doing such a great job at cutting, I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and continue with the process and clean up that entire front surface. So we will start her up and continue. Good morning, Nick Collier here. Chilly, great winter morning. It's calm out, there's no rain and no snow, thank God. Yesterday, I don't know what happened. I misplaced the camera. Couldn't find it. So I finally found it yesterday afternoon, and by then all of this had been done. Basically what we've done here is I squared up this edge here and this bottom edge here, so I had some kind of solid square surface to work from. And then I came in and laid out the 2 holes that I need to cut, and then all of my cut patterns. And then I came in and made my first internal cut. And basically I got to take out this section here down to this line. Let's see if I can bring you in closer. How's that look? That's a little bit better, huh? Let's see if we can get closer. Oh, look at that! My God! So you can see there's our center line, and of course all of this will reveal itself as I get further along in the way. But basically what we're going to do is take out this section here, and then cut a 45 across the top of here and a 45 across the top of there, and one on the bottom and one on, nothing on that bottom. That's going to be my solid. And then what I'm trying to do right now is just reduce some of the weight, because this thing weighs about 120 pounds and I want to get it down to something I can actually pick up, so I don't have to haul it back and forth with the cherry picker. So we're going to crank this up. We're going to take the rest of this part out, and well, hey, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're going to continue grinding away here, and we'll just fast forward you and let you watch the process. I'm looking at about an hour. We're going to condense this down so it's going to be like 2 minutes or 1 minute. So have fun. Okay, so we've got our notch cut, and it's just roughed in. All we're doing is trying to get some material off of here. So next, we're going to come in and take a 45 off of each one of these corners. So to do that, we're going to have to bring the head of the mill up to 45 degrees. Hopefully it's going to work. You can never tell, because when you start shifting degrees, you never know where the thing's going to end up. But let's see what it does. Okay, once again, we've reached the limits of our machine. We're almost to the top of the of what we can do here. Now, let's look at this just a second, though. There's a possibility. Let's drop this down a little bit. And then bring this out. Or actually, let's just take it sideways. How come we can't? Oh, there we go. Well, that's as far out as we can get, and that's as far up or down as we can get, so we can't reach that one or that one. So I think the only thing we can do left to do is rotate this thing this way. Now the problem is that I don't have an automatic feed going this way, so I'm going to have to feed this by hand, which is not exactly what I want to do, but hey, sometimes. So we'll crank this back down, and we're going to switch that around and get it all set up again, and we'll be back.